Hi, everybody. We should probably get started. So this is a presentation on healthy relationships and love languages, and we're peer mentors. So my name is Janet Vasquez. Um, I'm a senior. I'm a psych major. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns. And
Hi, I'm Aaliyah Jessup. I'm also a mental health and wellness peer mentor. I'm a health and human services major with a concentration in public health. So first we want to talk about different types of relationships. There's many different ways of how you view relationships and how you kind of partner up. One of them is they're family, friends, romantic partners, sexual partners, and just a lot of different ways we can describe our connection to other folks. It's entirely up to you on how you kind of define these things and kind of like what it means to you.
what we're going to be talking about today, as far as relationships, most people usually categorize as romantic relationship tips, but they can be applied to other situations. You can apply them like family, friends, or like any type of relationship that you're in. Another model of relationships that we can use is Robert Sternberg's triangular theory of love, which talks about like the different uh, aspects of the relationship that can like make up a relationship. And it usually is meant to like frame romantic relationships. Um, and the 3 points that he talks about are passion, liking, or intimacy, and commitment. So what this means is passion is talks about like infatuation. It's like the honeymoon phase, which is like the very beginning of a relationship when you're like really just like attracted to that person. Like it can be like physical attraction, like sexual attraction, but you're just super into that person. Intimacy, uh, in this case, is talking about being able to talk about anything with them, like how well you guys communicate and like share your thoughts with each other. Um, and commitment talks about like the time and dedication to the relationship. Um, so there are different kinds of relationships that can exist in this triangle. Consummate love is all three together. Um, Whereas romantic love is intimacy and passion. So you talk with them and you're really close with them, and you're also really attracted to them. But it's maybe liking that commitment. Like you're not sure that like this is the person that you want to spend a lot of the time with. Companionate love is like you're intimate with each other and like you're committed to like spending a lot of time together. But you know what? It doesn't even have to be like a romantic relationship. Like you're just like really good friends. Like you're committed to being close for the rest of your life. But like you're just not really necessarily attracted to each other. And there's a fatuous love, which is like passionate. Like you're really attracted to them, but like you're probably not going to spend a lot of time with them. So that could even be like a hookup or just something short. And all relationships can exist on either one, two, or three parts of this triangle.
So we want to talk about what makes a healthy relationship and what makes an unhealthy relationship. So some maybe like warning signs or red flags or just some things that you notice of what make aspects of an unhealthy relationship. Maybe there's no respect for boundaries. Your boundaries are pushed or being ignored or just overrun completely. You may have a lack of or just poor communication. You don't feel like you're being understood or heard correctly, or your words are being twisted back against you. And it could also be that maybe you're not understanding them correctly. You're realizing that you're not fighting on the same team, you're fighting to fight. Are you just trying to win the argument? Are you fighting towards a common goal? Are you fighting for the relationship? You might also find in an unhealthy relationship that the other partner, which can be romantic or a friend or a family member, tries to separate you from your support circle, from your other relationships in your life and try to distance you away from them. They may try to make you reliant on them for all resources. So this could be financial abuse, like taking away your means of making money or your access to money. This could be your access to social support, or maybe if it's transportation, taking your car keys or making it harder to get rides to places. And these are not like all of the unhealthy relationship red flags, but these are just some ones that to maybe look out for.
To contrast that, a healthy relationship can be seen in like respective boundaries. So if you communicate like things that you're like, uncomfortable with, or like things that you like prefer in a relationship, and like your partner like really pays attention to that, or like you like friends, even if you say like, hey, like I don't like to be hugged necessarily, and then they're like, oh, okay, definitely, or like I need to be asked beforehand. Like them asking every single time, like, hey, like can I give you a hug, is like a really like a respectful way of like approaching and like listening and like maintaining that boundary. Um, Communication. So uh, even I guess that someone comes up before boundaries, like talking about like I don't like this, I like this, like asking them, like, hey, like what are your boundaries with like such and such, like what do you like? Just communicating how you're feeling, like being able to say like, hey, like what you said kind of hurt me. I didn't really like I felt like this when like you said that. And having them like listen and say like, oh, like yeah, okay, I'm sorry, like I didn't know that. What would you prefer I say instead, or like what can I do better next time, or um, and inevitably, there's disagreements in any relationship. But the important part of tackling that is like you want to fight on the same team as opposed to uh, trying to win the argument. So that means if you are having a disagreement with somebody you're talking to, are you trying to drown them out? Are you trying to just ignore, like, or play down what they're saying because you think that you're right and like how you feel is more important? Are you listening to them? Are you like giving them time or space? Are you just trying to make them shut up, like an improvement point? Um, it can change a lot of things. Like people need to feel heard, otherwise they're not going to want to be in the relationship necessarily. Um, a healthy relationship respects your support circle, so they're not trying to distance you from your friends or your family. Um, they are okay if you spend time away from them. They're not necessarily constant, like they trust you, and they're not necessarily constantly like asking you where you are and like making you prove. Not lying about where you've been. And you and your partner can do things independently from each other, so you're not necessarily joined at the hip. Like you really enjoy your time together and you're happy together, but you also understand like they're their own person. You're not trying to be the same person. You can do things separately and still like respect that time and be happy like when you get to spend time together again.
We also want to touch on consent. I know it's kind of like a buzzword we've been hearing lately, but I also just want to touch on it because consent is very important in any type of relationship, not necessarily sexual. And consent is active, and by that I mean it's something that it's evolving, changing, and alive in a way. It's freely given. There's no coercion, there's no pressuring, and it can be revoked at any time for any reason. It doesn't just apply to sex, it applies to any boundary between you and whoever you're talking to. And it can change over time. And consent can, I just wanted to kind of model what it could possibly look like. It could look like questions that are like, is this okay? Can we talk more about this? Can we slow down? It could be like, well, I'm okay with this, but not this. And as we kind of talked on, it looks like, okay, I'm going to ask every time that if you want a hug. or ask every time if it's okay to even touch you, if that's just a pat on a hand. Consent can even look like, hey, is it okay if I text you late at night, even though it might, if your phone's ringer is on, is that okay? It is not guilting someone, it's not pressuring, and it's definitely not about owing them for any reason.
Another example I can think of is like consent about certain topics that might make people uncomfortable. Saying like, hey, can I talk about this thing? Like, I know sometimes that like you, it can be very overwhelming to talk about this topic. Are you okay with hearing this now? And the other person can say like, actually, no, I've had a hard time, or like, I can talk about this later, but right now I'm busy. So like, can you wait? Or just say like, no, I'm really not comfortable about talking about this at all. Um, or like asking consent to like vent to somebody, especially if there's somebody you tend to lean on a lot, saying like, hey, like, I've had like a stupid rough day. Can I like talk to you about it? You know, like, do you have the time? And if they say like, oh yeah, definitely, like, yeah, please like talk to me about how you're feeling. You're saying like, actually, like, I'm also like really having a really tough time. I don't think I have the space to shoulder this right now. Um, it's like, is there anybody else you can talk to? So it can just be, yeah, definitely want to reiterate, it's not just like a sexual thing. It can be about multiple aspects about any kind of relationship. So love languages are the ways in which we express and want to receive love. So what that means is, for certain people, the way that they prefer to be like receive love, it can change like that based on the love language, but also it's like how they show appreciation for other people. And so the five categories that is usually categorized for love languages are words of affirmation. So these can be things like, oh, like, I see you've had like a really hard day, and I just want to really let you know, like, hey, I'm really proud of you. Like, you've done a really good job, and I know that was hard for you. Or even just like reminding, like, texting out of nowhere, like, hey, like, I just want to say like I love you, and like reminding them. Acts of service is the next one, and so this can be things like, oh, like, hey, I knew you were really busy today, so I woke up early and I like cooked you breakfast. Or like, your room was looking kind of messy, and so I know that kind of bothers you. So while you were gone, I cleaned it up for you. Just like little gestures of like things that people can do for you. Um, services, I guess, that people can do for you. Um, Another one is like gift giving or like receiving gifts. And so for people who think like it's not necessarily like materialistic either. It can be like small gifts, it can be like, hey, like, while I was out, I saw like this like little keychain or even something, and it like reminded me of you, and I think like I know it's something that you really like, and so I just picked it up for you. Or like, hey, like, I was out and I found your favorite like food, and so I got some of like your favorite snack, and I brought it for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be like big, grandiose gestures. It can just be like small little things day to day. Um, Quality time is another one. So if you notice that somebody is like like they really make an effort to plan out the time that they spend with you, or like they when you're together and you are with them, they like completely put their phone down, and if you're talking to them, they are listening with their full attention, and like just like really in the moment, in the time that they're spending with you. And their love language might be quality time, and they like maybe if for some reason they can't make it, they're like super bummed and they're trying like to reschedule. um Physical touch is the last love language. And this one I guess is a little bit more self-explanatory. Whereas like if you're together, like they really like cuddling, or like this can be like they like giving hugs, and this can even, I mean, like it's not necessarily just romantic, but like, if you and your family are like more like touchy people, like you tend to like brush up against each other, you like show like physical signs that you're there, you like a pat on the back, even just like letting people know that you're there in their space and like you're together, can really mean a lot to some people. So these are the love languages, and you can kind of think about like how you tend to express your love languages to other people, but also how you prefer to have love expressed to you.
Which leads us into the fact that you can take a test and figure out how you like to receive and give the love languages. So we'll take a moment now so you can see the URL and go there and take the test if you want. It tends to go pretty fast, but it can get a little in depth. And we just want to touch on that, maybe this isn't an end all. Maybe you realize the quiz is wrong and that's okay. I'm pretty sure they give you like your top contenders of them. It's not just like you have just one love languages. You can have multiple. You can want to like receive one and it's not the one you like to give. So we want to point out how that may be different for you.
And this specific site has a quiz both on how you show your love languages and also how you prefer to like receive your love languages. And if like it's something that you like, it's fun to take. It's fun to like figure out. But it's also if you like want to take it like as something like fun to do with your partner, like and just like compare love languages, it can really be insightful into saying like, oh, like that's really interesting. Like I didn't know that you thought so highly of like gift giving, so I'm gonna make it a point to like make like more gifts for you because I know that's like how you like to receive like like love. So
Love.
it could be something like really enlightening to do with like anybody that you would like to. Okay, so I don't, if there's any questions, feel free to ask us, or like you can like talk with caps even after for the people who aren't on our call right now. But I don't think
Yeah,
there's any questions.
CAPS does do couples counseling as long as one of the members is a U of M Dearborn student. So keep that in mind. And we do want to point out CAP services, their phone and emails on the screen. So if you want to get in contact with them for whatever reason, information is right there.
You have any sort of feeling that maybe like your relationship is unhealthy or maybe even abusive, like please reach out to CAPS and they can try to provide resources for you for that as well. Um, so yeah, thank you for joining us for our presentation. If there's no more questions, then we're gonna wrap up.